Welcome back, everybody. Frank Vespi here. Mackenzie Pfeiffer. Mackenzie, hello. Maryland Million Lassie, 100,000 bucks, 2-year-old fillies. Good stuff. You excited to tell
I
us who the winner is?
I hope I can help guide there, but really 2-year-old fillies, they have to be competitive, they have to be sharp, and there's plenty of room to spot a future star. So great group of horses coming in here.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. A lot of these horses kind of won on the front end, and you got to sort of figure out, are they all going to try to be there again? And if they are, what's that going to do? Or is somebody just going to kind of go on with it? And I guess we'll find out on Saturday. The Lassie is the sixth race, and let's dig into these here. The one horse is Shkara Fire for Jose Corrales, Angel Cruz in the irons. This one's 8-1 on the morning line, and your top selection.
I love the 8-1 morning line. I have to say, wasn't looking for value, but really impressed me in what I saw from this last effort. Broke her maiden competitively at second asking, and I think the figures they've awarded her maybe don't tell the full story. I think she's really hard trying. That last effort where she just caused a little bit of a stir coming out of the gate, and then really just had to face a lot of different things that many of the other horses in here, I think, encounter and develop skills for over a few races. She kind of did them all at once and still showed an interest in running on. So I
Mhm.
love that. A few other ones come out of that same race, and I don't think she was going to catch the winner that day, but I really loved what we saw there.
Yeah, you like a horse that you like a 2-year-old that can pass other horses and stick with it. You see a lot of these that won by 5 lengths at first asking where they just jumped out and went. And so you like a horse that shows that added dimension of being able to run past some.
Yes, and you use her as well. You kind of lean towards the inside horses, you said.
Yeah.
Did you include number two, Eccentric, in here?
Actually, that's my top choice. And this is what you would call a shot in the dark. This horse, Eccentric, Jerry Robb, the trainer, 10-1 morning line. This is a first time starter running against a whole bunch of horses that have already started. But I'm just so intrigued. Now, let's say up front, this might just be a situation where the owner said, I want you to run this horse in the Maryland Million. It's a homebred son, daughter of opportunity. And so it could just be, hey, let's go have a little fun on Maryland Million Day. But I keep coming back to this horse. It's an interesting work tab getting here. It's more works than Jerry Robb usually puts in a first time starter, which on the one hand could mean, well, we're pointing and we want to be really sharp, or it could mean we're not quite seeing what we want yet. Alexander Crispin, who is a rider that Robb uses pretty regularly at Delaware, was named, but now it's Jamie Rodriguez, who might be the best guy in the room and is not a rider that they, it's a rider they use sometimes, the Robb Barn, but not necessarily a ton. I'm fascinated. The Dam was 6 for 12 in her career, running at lower levels. So she's not a world beater, but just a lot of interesting things that this horse is here. What was your take on this horse?
I agree completely. This is one who, I went back and forth, and I'd say made me take a second look, but made me take 3 or 4 looks. Uh, because it's certainly intriguing. We've seen horses come into spots like this in other scenarios, and they can upset. I like the work tab. I think there's plenty of gate works too, where this one's going to be sharp. I have a little bit of worry, this one being towards the inside, with one who just to the inside of her last time didn't get away very clean. If anything goes awry, it's headed her direction. So maybe that was part of why I looked away,
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
a half to Dance for Green, another dirt sprinter that we know. The mare herself was a dirt sprinter. I think it's all there in the pedigree. If she's on and Jamie gets the ride, which we know he can, you might be onto something.
I hope so. Or, she could end up 47 lanes behind and be like, Frank, what were you thinking? So now the three horse is one that we both use a little bit. We'll take a look at video of her first start. She's 12-1 morning line. Forest Boy's going to be up for Milan Milosevic. The horse she was chasing in that debut, Mackenzie, just came back and obliterated an allowance field. That is the very speedy Days.
I watched Days this weekend and I was very impressed. This was not a, mockery of a field that she was putting behind. For me, this is one who I will say last time out, she was on the outside. She didn't have to stand in the gate long, but I thought she was super sharp out of the gate. Being a little bit more towards the inside, just making a mental note. I'm curious if that'll impact her because I was just impressed with how quick she was out of the gate. Uncle Lino can really bring that kind of speed to a horse, though. And having run second to Days and just kind of getting run off of her feet chasing, I give her a lot of credit. Her figures themselves coming out of this race hold up against the best of this group. So I think I'm a little intrigued. I will say, though, she has half sibling who've actually gone on to be long on the turf types. Two of them have actually gone over to be steeplechase horses. So, a little bit interesting to see the family go this way and see this one be so sharp and the other ones who, kind of gone the opposite.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's interesting. I didn't know that she had steeplechasing. Well, it may be a future for her down the road a piece.
We certainly like horses that are that quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes just a matter of whether someone wants to ride them that quick over a fence.
Now the 4-horse you do not use, I believe, but I do. That's Onyx 10. That's for Gary Capuano, JG Torrealba. I think JG Torrealba is up there. That was who was initially named. 9-2 Morning Line, the favorite. This is a horse that has seen a couple times a horse named Caprice. Caprice would be a strong favorite in this field, but she's running at Delaware instead in the White Clay Creek going a mile. That effort two back, I thought Mackenzie was very, very good. Last time out, not so much.
Yes, and for me, another one who I won't be surprised. This is one who, if I have any scratches, this is my next in line. I think holds up very well against this group. The half siblings have been very good at their first time sprinting. So it makes sense to me that this one really got off and running quite well. I just wasn't quite sure based on what we saw last time. She's had a little bit of a busier summer. And is that one just a fluke, or are we starting to see some gaps and she just needs to develop? And that was ultimately where I said, okay, if I have that thought, maybe I'll look elsewhere. And I kind of round things out. But I think she does figure if we see what the same thing as we saw, and it's a bit of racing luck. So if that was an off day for her, then she'll be right back to it in the mix for you.
Yeah, well, we have high hopes.
But
what do you think about the 5-horse? No need to ask.
No need. I wouldn't say no need to comment. This one is one who I think Carol's given a really good ride to, but seems to be a little bit of a front end type. And I can't tell how much this one's going to take on the challenge. Again, we don't have a ton to go off of, but I just wasn't really sure if this one's quite figured out enough of the pieces that we're going to get a really good engagement as they start to change things up here and need some different tactics.
Yeah, she ran in the Small Wonder well behind Caprice as well, then graduated last time out pretty easily against Maiden 25s at Delaware. The Maiden 25 race at Delaware is a waiver race for Delaware certified horses, and you can either catch some pretty good horses or some really slow horses in there, and she made pretty short work of those. So we'll see how she steps forward.
Yes. And do you use Safe Trust in the 6 in here as well?
I do not for Jose Corrales. Jose's got it seems like every other horse is a Jose Corrales horse here. He's got your top choice, Scar Fire. I did not use this one. Graduated first time out. 2 since then, so.
Exactly. Start adding more ground, start asking a few more questions. And sometimes it just takes time to find the answers to those. So comes from that same race last time out where Shikara Fire, Malibu Hooch were in. I thought that was a really good race as far as how this field stacks up. And this was one who I just didn't feel caught my eye as much in there.
What about Biscuit with the Boss? That's the 7 horse for Brittany Russell, 6-1 morning line, Sheldon Russell up. This one comes out of the same race.
Exactly.
I feel like we have a theme here.
Well, we do. But for me, this is one who I would have been a lot more intrigued and reaching for this one a lot faster if I maybe hadn't seen that race. And I thought this one kind of just went on really quick, really early, got a little tired. Now you can say adding more ground or, just took a little bit of pressure, but I just didn't like how quickly we saw that. You know, Bosserati is in this family and in the same barn. I
Super
thought,
quick, yeah.
yes. And, maiden win going the half a mile or, 4.5. I just wasn't quite sure here. This one did it over a muddy track, and I sometimes take away a little bit. So Brittany Russell on the dirt, you can't really deny, but I don't think there's much price to be made here. And I just was a little more impressed with some others.
Yeah, and you wonder in a 12-horse field, is anybody going to be able to just go to the front and go on with it? And maybe, I mean, it happens, but a lot of these went to the front, last time or in their maiden wins, and it feels like it's going to be crowded up there.
I think it's going to be really crowded. You can argue that some of these have really good gate speed. They've shown that. I'm just trying to go off of who I think is going to be a little bit gutsy and who's going to be able to stick it out or who's going to be wise and just tuck in and, find a nice tracking trip.
And the 8-horse, Rapido Rosa, for guess who? Jose Corrales.
Every other, you really are
right on theme here. Victor Carrasco up 8-1 morning line. She looks like another one who should be involved in the early run.
Yes. Well, the first 2 starts really quick early on, I thought did improve in that second effort, be it the muddy track was maybe a little bit tiring for her. I thought this worked out really well where she was able to go ahead and step forward, ran some pretty good figures there, goes to the Keswick, just didn't have quite as much run coming home. And, that was where I said, okay, so we see this one not on the front end. I lean away a little bit.
Yeah. No, I kind of do too. What'd you make of, I'm going to talk about this horse a little bit, but the 9-horse, It's a Monster Mash for Jerry Robb and homebred for No Guts, No Glory, which is him and his wife, Gina. Their go-to riders up, Xavier Perez. What do you make of this horse?
Yeah. So, it's funny. Back in August, I really, keyed into this one being out of a stakes winning dirt sprinter, had the benefit of a start and a little bit more fitness. The siblings have been 3 for 6 as 2-year-olds. So I did like that in itself. But for me, comes out of that same race with Days and High Love. Maybe didn't get the best start, but I thought this one is maybe one who's going to run on. We just haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah, no, that's right. And it raises questions that I don't have the answers for about my top choice about the 2-horse. Xavier Perez is the Rob's go-to rider. He's been riding this horse. This horse has shown little, certainly hasn't shown that she could beat these kinds of horses. Perez stays here. He doesn't go there. And I decided as I thought this through, I'm like, I'm not going to overthink this and talk myself off a horse, because every time I talk myself off a horse because the jockey went here and not there, I'm wrong 100% of the time. So I'm just not going to talk myself off of it, but it does raise the question. Perez has been on this horse. He stays on this horse. Has he not been on the other horse? And so they just said, stay here, or did he have the choice and chose to stay here, which probably doesn't bode well for my choice.
No, this is where I kind of had the curiosity. What do we make of it? And this is one who, comes from a sprinting family. So I would have thought stretching out a little bit, maybe, adding just a bit more ground if that's what this one wanted, maybe we'd see that. But I felt like we kind of went the other direction. And so I'm curious. We'll see. But again, with the jockey deliberation, I think I would be having the same thoughts.
You figure not going to be the fastest here, probably going to be outfooted a little bit. Maybe if she can close into a pace, she ought to get a pace if she can close into it, but we haven't seen that yet. So wait and see on that one.
Yes. One who didn't take much wait and see on debut that we both got to see over at Timonium, the 10 in Malibu Hooch. Todd Beatty brings her in, and I thought she was pretty convincing on debut. I'm not sure as much on the second effort, how much credit I give there, because I thought she may be tired a little bit in the stretch more than I would have expected. But I am intrigued with what we get from her this time because I think she's going to keep improving.
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth. She's 6-1 on the morning line. Julio Hernandez, regular pilot, going to be up. As you said, she impressed at Timonium. That was going a half mile. The stretch out to 6, she ran okay. Kind of made a bit of a middle sort of bid, and then couldn't go with the winner. Who was not too late, Scar of Fire coming along for second. So it was an okay try. It's kind of one of those, I don't know, 6-1. I guess I want a little more from my horse if I'm taking 6-1 on her in this spot. Is she as good as these? She could be.
That seems fair. I mean, I think 6-1 is reasonable. I wouldn't want to take much shorter, but I will say, Shakara Fire, that's why I liked her, because she was so game and at least running down Malibu Hooch. She wasn't going to catch the winner, but she was going to catch someone. It just so happened to be Malibu Hooch on that day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't talk you. You're not using her. I'm not using her. Couldn't talk somebody off her if they wanted to use her. But I agree with what you just said too, that wouldn't want to get less than 6-1 here, probably. Now, the 11 horse is one you do like. That's Persian for Linda Albert. We'll get a video up on this one on debut. Yomar Ortiz going to ride 8-1 morning line.
Yeah, so this is one who really, really sharp from the gate. And I thought ran on a bit. I couldn't decide if they were kind of trying to settle in here, but I just really liked how this one kind of put herself into the race. Had to go a little bit wide. I say a little bit, I think she was 4 wide. But for me, I just thought this was a really good first asking. And I kind of thought she was going to improve, just wasn't going to catch a runaway winner in this, but the really game effort trying to run things down, she might break her maiden here.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I gave this one a long look, and we talked about this horse off air too. In the sort of opening 16th of that debut race, she, the kind of the big pack went forward, and she was not with the leader, but just sort of behind with several other horses, and kind of had to, I don't want to say steady, but like kind of paused for a moment as things kind of got sorted out, and then moved up wide, as you said, and couldn't go with the winner. But I thought that was a very good try, and probably got some education out of it that might stand her in good stead here.
Absolutely. And that pause, make of it what everyone will. It was really nice to see, because you don't always get that. Sometimes we're rushing. I say we, I'm not, but sometimes horses are being, kind of rushed in to put into the race. And I liked that, it was almost like a jockey pause, and the horse said, no, I'm good. I can keep on kicking here. And that's why I feel like she really put herself in that position. And it was a really patient ride, to just kind of check in and take what the horse wanted for the day.
All right, so you're using Persian a little bit. You're using Divine Works, the 12 horse here a little bit as well. She is Mike Trombetta trainee, Michael Sanchez up here. 6-1 morning line. This one raced at Saratoga on debut and finished second, which is generally a positive thing. Although, as we were talking about, not entirely sure what that race was. It was restricted to horses that had sold for 50,000 or less at auction. And so those could be a bit of a mixed bag, but make the case.
No, that race in particular, it can come up a lot of different ways. In this particular setting, I feel like the past performance lines reads she lost her footing. I didn't feel like it was quite as significant as we sometimes see, but either way, she didn't get out of the gate perfectly, and she was ridden really strong to get into contention. She was very handy and responsive in doing so. She just kind of was always in chase mode. And that was where I thought, okay, she's trying, she's doing what she's asked. Luis Ayes is really good at getting a strong ride and putting them into a race that way. Especially early on, I thought he was really quick to address it and make up for it, give her a chance. On debut, going the 6.5, I think any horse, I just wouldn't be surprised. We see a lot of really good horses who have kind of an effort like this on debut, and I don't ever hold it against them. So the fact that they wanted to take her to Saratoga and see what kind of company they could get, this is a mixed bag, and people have some really good horses that end up in here. So, opting to go there instead of she's a Maryland bred, kind of, it spoke to me in that sense of they didn't need to, but they did. And they felt confident. She was a very good second. She wasn't going to be able to run down the front end on that day. She was just always in chase. She was a little bit late to change leads right as the winner was kind of drawing off. So a bit of a green effort, but I thought she showed a lot of ability, and the fractions coming out of the race, hold pretty true against the best of this group. So I think 6-1 is really fair. I'm not sure if we get 6-1 on the day though.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's kind of one of those, like, if the betting public looks and goes, ooh, Saratoga, they might really bet her. If they look and see 49 buyer speed figure, that is okay. That's fine with this group, but it's not any better than a whole bunch of them. So it'll be interesting to see what the betting public makes of her. She is an intriguing horse. All right, Mackenzie, you're going to go 1, 11, 12, and 3 here, and I'm going all inside 2, 4, 1, 3, blowing up the tote board or not. We'll have to see how that plays out. Well, good luck here.
You as well. Hopefully we'll be celebrating with one of us being the brilliant one in this race.